Horace delivered a Sermon on the Mount, and his followers faithfully recounted the sayings of Isa, or Jesus.
Horace was crucified between two thieves, buried in a tomb, and resurrected. His personal epithet was Yusa, or Yusu, the ever-becoming son of Ptah, or the Father.
Could it be that the whole thing spiritually was the truth, and different people figured out the truth and wrote down a parable to go with it? Could that be?
That would be the myth,
Yeah.
the mythology that is telling the story of what happens in this process of spiritual growth.
Right.
And it happens essentially in everyone. So Jesus is the figure of us. And we experience these same things, not the exact same,
Yeah.
but it is a process that we go through. Horace was the good shepherd, the Lamb of God, the bread of life, the Son of Man, the Word, and the fisher. So was Jesus.
Did you skip the one that says Horace was crucified between two thieves and buried in a tomb?
No.
We did that.
We did that one?
Ever
Yeah.
becoming son of Ptah.
I must have left the planet.
Next one.
Horace was not just the path to heaven, but the way by which the dead travel out of the sepulchre.
Uh-huh.
He was the God whose name was written as the road to salvation. He was thus the way, the truth, and the life. Therefore, the key verse of conservative orthodoxy today was sourced in pagan roots.
The way, the truth, and the life. That's been quoted as a powerful statement of Jesus, right?
Right. Jesus was the way.
The truth and the life.
Yeah.
But Horace was the way and the truth and the life. And it was, thousands of years before.
I wonder if they knew each other.
You need a flashlight.
No, history teaches you to say history
No, I got my
repeats
phone
itself.
light.
Yeah.
I need it, but I don't need it, yeah.
Okay. Do you need one?
The Creed says that Jesus descended into hell, or better, Hades. But so too did Horace before him. Both went to preach to the souls in prison. Both were dead and buried, but only figuratively. Again, this is simply a metaphorical description of the descent of the divine into matter. Remember?
Yep.
We
You were
started
talking
in
about
spirit,
it, yep.
and we descend down into matter, which is when we come into these physical bodies. And later, when we leave that state, we go back to spirit. And then come back again. Because it's layers of knowledge and wisdom of who and what we truly are. And there are those who say about Jesus, and I'm thinking I'm going to speak of him now as a figure, not as a reality, but as a figure. He represents one of us who has grown far enough to realize our real identity, who and what we really are, who has grown to that place where we know that divinity that's within us, and we have a connection to that spirit inside that I was talking about earlier today. And it's for every one of us to reach that place. And it takes some of us a little longer than others, you know. I probably will be way behind all the rest of you.
And we will be there saying, Greg, what's taking you so long?
Yeah. Oh, well, I found a little nice side place that I wanted to visit. And I wanted to try this out. And I wanted to try that out. And, you know, some of us are curious.
Yeah, I can't get my airplane started.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's see. Where did we stop?
As Kuhn sharply observes.
As Kuhn sharply observes, it was absolutely nothing whatever to. It has absolutely nothing whatever to do with a literal hillside grave. The death of the God is his self-giving to mortals. That's why every ancient religion had as at its heart a dying or dismembered, disfigured deity. One of humanity's first mythical savior figures, Prometheus, was pinned by the wrists and ankles to a rock in the Caucasus Mountains, where his liver was torn out by a vulture.
Gosh,
Oh,
they dream up some of the
lunch for a vulture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next one.
Jesus came in the name of the Lord, but he was called Kyrios, or Lord. Horus, too, was a Lord by name.
Yeah. Same name. Like Jesus, Horus was supposed to reign for 1,000 years. An example to usher in a millennium.
Horus came to seek and to save what was lost. We are reminded that of the gospel parables of the lost sheep and the lost coin and the lost son.
Yeah, absolutely. And who tells those parables? Jesus, of course. In the Gospels, it is the women who announce the resurrection. The goddesses and the women proclaim me when they see me, shouts Horus as he rises from the tomb on the horizon of the resurrection. How do you, is this a surprise?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think.
So it's a joyful surprise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not that business of only begotten. Jesus is the only begotten. You've heard that expression, right?
Yeah.
And so many churches have said one and only. Jesus is a one and only. Well, if he were a one and only, when he said, follow me, we couldn't have done it.
Or you'll do the things that I do.
Yeah, the things that I do, you will do.
Greater.
And greater.
And greater.
How
Yeah.
could he say that? And he wasn't a liar. But it's amazing how much churches have held us in a very narrow box.
And do not worship me, follow me.
He never said worship me. Never.
And in fact, in John, I think it's 23, he said, from now on, you will ask nothing of me. You will ask my Father, and he will give it to you.
Exactly. You go right to the source. And it's
Is it 14?
in you. That's the amazing thing. It's in you. Christ in you, your hope of glory, as Paul put it. It's right there. But we're taught to go to priests, ministers, all kinds of other places.
Yeah.
Because they know. They have a connection.
Intermediaries. They're smarter.
Yeah. And they're not.
They're religious.
Actually, they're
Yes.
dumber.
Yeah. And some of them are not.
Yeah.
Yep. They're just people like us. And the truth is,
Really okay.
this is true of everyone. We all have this presence in us. And how many of you were told this when you were kids? Christ in you.
I heard about the Philistines.
The Philistines, yeah. I heard about other people, but not me.
And in Sunday school, we prayed to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was teaching Sunday school in Unity, there was a lesson where we went around the circle of the children present and had each one say their name and say, I am Christ Mary, I am Christ,
Yeah.
whatever their name was.
Yep.
That was part of the curriculum
It was a good one, yes.
for the Sunday school.
I have done that in workshops out at Unity and had adults cry tears when they were saying that
Yeah.
because they had never done that before.
I had them look into their eyes in the mirror and say it, and there were people who absolutely could not
Yep.
look into their own eyes and
And
say
that's a
that.
good way.
Yeah,
In
the mirror
looking
work.
into your own eyes in the mirror and saying, I am the Christ. Yeah.
When things get crazy, I walk up to the bathroom mirror and say, who do I say that I am? Not this other stuff that's been bothering
Exactly. Exactly.
me. Yeah.
We're not just dumb human beings. We're not just miserable sinners. I've heard that enough. And there are certain churches that that's their whole thing, is to tell you how bad you are.
Yeah, and then
Absolutely.
and you'll
yes.
never make it.
Yeah, you'll never make it because you'll need us
That's right.
forever.
Yeah. So put your money in the coffers and be
Uh-huh.
quiet.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. It's
But if you think back, well, I don't know, when I was growing up in Sunday school, the Methodist way,
they're so methodical.
yeah, it was, we always wanted to do good because Jesus loves us, and we don't want to do anything that would make him feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guilt works.
Guilt.
Yeah. So,
It's amazing what
especially to little children.
how big that lever of guilt is.
Yeah, yeah.
Boy, it can pry you into anything or out of anything.
And all of the little songs, praise him, all you little children.
Stand up for
There you go.
Jesus,
Yeah.
ye soldiers
Yeah.
of the
Yeah,
cross.
there you go.
The
I would be a
highest royal
sunbeam for
banner.
Jesus.
It's
It must not
always
suffer loss.
That's it.
out there.
From victory unto
That's
victory,
right, that's
his
right.
glory shall we see,
Yeah.
till all the foes are vanquished, and Christ is Lord indeed.
Amazing. You learned the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we probably sang it every Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Not that we sing it now, but every once in a while, somewhere during the day, it'll just come traveling through back to my mind again.
Yeah. What's the name of the stand up? Stand up.
Stand up for Jesus.
For Jesus,
Ye
yeah.
soldiers of the cross.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Soldiers of the cross. It's amazing. That's a section that I would suggest that you look at that periodically and remind yourself. This was true of Jesus. It was true of Horace. It's true of me. We have the same potential to do, to overcome, to experience the same things that these personalities have supposedly done. Now, the next page, 85, altogether, Massey, and Massey, you remember, is one of those 1800s scholars who looked at all of this stuff and did all this research and came up to these same conclusions. Massey discovered nearly 200 instances of immediate correspondence between the mythical Egyptian material and the allegedly historical Christian writings about Jesus. Horus indeed was the archetypical pagan Christ. Our closer examination of the astonishing parallels between the Egyptian Christ figure Horus and the Jesus of the canonical Gospels declares in a dramatic and, to me, irrefutably manner our major premise, that Christianity, in its final orthodoxy, was simply a reissuing of an ancient wisdom in a literalized and highly exclusivist form. The result was a kind of plagiarism, but in a badly warped and weakened edition. What was timeless and universally applicable in the Horus myth eventually became tragically locked into a single person, time, and place. What had been esoteric and symbolic was made exoteric and historical. Instead of an ideal and divine principle, the Christ, working in every heart, all of God's evolutionary thrust for humanity was locked up exclusively in one personality, the personal Jesus. Myth had been misread as biography. Countless millions ever since have had to look beyond to an external, morally unreachable Savior instead of being empowered by the saving grace of the ever-coming Christ Spirit. Where? Within. Yes. This is what we need so badly to rediscover and apply. And that's why, hallelujah, we have come to realize some of this. Because, as I said earlier, outside, so much of it's been outside. And that doesn't help so much. Mm-hmm. What it takes is for it to become real in us. It's there, but we have to acknowledge it and know it. We can find that light as we move beyond the literal text of the New Testament and see the metaphysical and allegorical truth beneath it all. And I'm just going to say this. We have a little, what is it? A leg up in unity, I think. Because we don't read the Bible literally.
Yeah.
We understand. It's allegorical, it's metaphorical, it's symbolism. And metaphysical Bible interpretation, Charles Fillmore, that's what he did every Sunday when he stood at that lectern in there. Every Sunday. We have practically all the publications of Unity in the archives in the other room. And every edition of Unity magazine has 4 Sunday lessons in every magazine. And they're Charles lessons. They're the transcripts of what he said on the Sunday. And they're all metaphysical Bible interpretations.
What has always amazed me is with all of the fabrication that's gone on with the Gospels, we can still find the original teachings no matter how they tried to change it because they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think still for some of the Unity family, they don't quite connect to it's in me. It's that power is here. It's
That's right.
and I have to become aware of its presence.
I taught that all the time when I was in California. And when I left, a friend called me and she says, I've been going to a Unity church and I don't hear that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That Christ in me. Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, I don't hear that anymore. I thought, how sad.
But Unity isn't Unity anymore.
I couldn't be everywhere present like God, so I had to leave. Yeah, it's not unity anymore, and I was just talking to Ellen, the CEO of Hollis Graduate Seminary,
Yeah.
and she said, we cannot accept the students from the Institute anymore because the way the Institute has gone, their teaching format is not at the master's level. And you have to be at the master's level to get into the doctoral program. But she said, we just had one who left the doctoral program because she was just not prepared. And she said, we can't just take students from Unity School anymore. And I said, that's right.
Because it's not a real school anymore.
When it's a real school, but what they teach is like, holy cow. But in graduation day, they have these velvet collars, that look like doctoral program collars and all of this, and make a big deal out of it. And they've got nothing.
They've got nothing. It's
Yeah. And that master's degree they put forth is nothing. It's not.
Are they still saying they're giving master's degrees?
Yeah. And some people go to Unity just for the master's degree, and I thought, but they're not getting anything.
Yeah. Oh, I can remember Glenn. He was so against that, and he said, and if you ever do get accreditation, what are you going to say? Well, to all those other people that got the fake ones, what are you going to tell them?
Well, you try to go to a doctoral program with their master's degree, you can't.
You can't do it. No.
In fact, I looked at Union Theological Seminary's requirements. They wouldn't let me sweep the floor.
Yep.
You have to go through all of their bachelor's programs, and you have to get letters from the former professors designating you as a special student and with great potential.
Because Unity School has no credentials.
They don't. Nothing's accredited. The people who stand on that stage very proudly with this collar, it's sad.
Over the years,
Got nothing.
you had a different faculty than I did.
Yes.
I really loved our faculty
Yeah.
for the most part. I mean, not everybody, but most of them.
I had some of your faculty when I went to UICE.
Yeah.
Before I got
Yeah.
into the ministerial program, I had some of those people. Paula, Paula, what's her last name? Prosperity teacher. Her daughter's a Unity minister, used to have the Independence Church.
Yeah.
That will
Yeah,
come.
yeah,
That name will come.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway,
Where was it that we went? Bud, was it in Colorado? We went to a Unity church
Yeah.
when we were on vacation. They never once mentioned God
Or Jesus.
or Jesus.
yeah.
Nothing whatsoever. I thought, what?
Excuse me, but I'm going to put this in the vernacular. What the hell did they talk about?
She talked
Self-help
mostly
psychology.
about the fact that she wasn't yet a minister.
Ah.
She hadn't taken her finals,
Ah.
and she wasn't going to come here to do it. She's going to do it over the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they are not teaching Bible.
Nope.
They're not teaching metaphysics there.
Nope.
And she said, Odell said to me, oh, well, we have metaphysics in the school. And I said, you mix it in with Buddhism and all sorts of stuff so that you can hardly find it.
And whose metaphysics is it,
Yeah.
The most spiritual thing about it, you walked out the front door, and there was Spike's Peak.
It's the only thing that lifted your eyes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a God after all.
Thank God it's
It's
still
amazing.
there.
It is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I've seen Unity churches that don't use the Bible. But I don't know now how far back it is, but we haven't taught real Bible metaphysics and Bible interpretation for years now.
Yeah.
It got squirrely after my class.
Well, the teachers coming along didn't understand it, and so when they tried to teach it, they couldn't.
Yeah. What's her name?
That one.
Yeah. Well, the woman who was teaching,
Laura
Big guy's name.
Laura.
Bennett.
McElroy.
Laura Bennett.
I had the privilege of teaching some classes in the ministerial program. And they kept asking, how can we get more of you?
They come down
And I
here.
gave them Bible.
Yeah.
And they said, we're not getting this in school.
And they come down here to your services and they say the same thing. We're not getting Bible and metaphysics.
Actually, this one group of second-year students went to Gary Jones and said, how could you hire so-and-so who, when Greg Nedler has forgotten more than that person ever knew.
Paul Hesselbeck.
I'm not going to give names,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean they were direct, and it's so sad.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Well, they think they're advancing. You got to leave the old
But
behind.
they're
and
not.
advance. But they're not.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, it's regressed so badly.
Yeah.
It's not even a new thought school.
No.
I don't think so.
Is this where that scripture comes in the Bible, where Satan says he'll water down your churches? Is that what happened? To the unity
Well,
of the
that's
Christian
exactly
Science?
what's happened.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
Same thing to Christian Science has happened there too.
because Charles Fillmore was inspired. Myrtle was inspired.
Same thing is happening in Christian.
They
Science.
gathered people, and their inspiration
What he said.
raised them up, and it was a fantastic organization. And then Myrtle passed, and then Charles passed, and then the people they
Myrtle
taught passed, and pretty soon there's less and less of the wisdom and understanding. And
More of the me.
that book that we talked about last week, Charles Fillmore's Metaphysical Bible
Yeah.
Bible stuff. The people that put it together, if they're from anything in the last 30 years, they don't know anything about metaphysical Bible interpretation. So how can they be
But it happened
trying
anyway.
to put that together and explain it, or even know what to pick and choose? I mean, that's the disaster. You've got people who don't know plumbing coming in and trying to fix the plumbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
In Luke's gospel.
Spiritual importance of the number 12.
yeah. In Luke's gospel, we read how Jesus' parents took him to the temple for what today is called his bar mitzvah. It's amazing how many people don't realize Jesus was never a Christian.
He did not start the Christian church.
Exactly. At the time, if there was a person named Jesus who did all of this stuff, he was a Jew.
Yeah.
And he was a good Jew. Anyway, took him to the temple, what was called his bar mitzvah, his entry into adult responsibility to the Torah. But Horace and all the other Christ figures also came of age in a special rite at 12. I became a member of the Presbyterian Church. I can't remember exactly if it was 12 or 13.
No.
And I received a Bible.
Yeah.
It's over there in the shelf. It's pristine.
And it probably has no notes at the bottom.
No notes.
No footnotes.
No footnotes, nothing I ever wrote in it, pages that are probably still stuck together.
Yeah, well, the Oxford Annotated had huge amounts of footnotes at the bottom of every page.
Except they were wrong.
Well, I don't know, they said
They were literal.
a firkin is 9 gallons, they were probably okay with that.
Oh,
one.
yeah, but so much of it was about a literal
Yeah,
understanding.
it's written by
So
scholars, yeah.
to me, the notes in a purchased Bible were not any good because I would be not what I wanted.
Yeah.
I will continue. Let's see. Came of age is special right at 12. Today, bar mitzvahs occur at the age of 13 for boys and the equivalent for girls, the bat mitzvah.
The bat mitzvah, yeah,
Old bat? My father used
bat.
to talk about my mother. Where's the old bat? Yeah. The bat mitzvah at age 12. So the girls were earlier. And the boys were a year later. Why do you think that is?
Those girls matured earlier
That's
than boys.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So, somebody take the next paragraph.
Significantly, both Horace and Jesus were accompanied by 12 disciples, as were Matthias and Dionis. After reading Macy and Kuhn, I discovered that this has a deeper spiritual meaning than appears at first sight. A vast flood of light is let in upon gospel interpretation if it is understood that the 12 disciples of Jesus symbolize the 12 powers of spiritual light energy to be unfolded by man in 12 labors or stages of growth, all imaged by the 12 signs of the zodiac. Kahn says that from the first it should have been seen without cavil, that the 12 apostles were so much more than agents used by a historic personage to found an earthly ecclesiasm, for when the gospel Jesus told them they would sit with him on the 12 celestial thrones and judge the 12 tribes of Israel, they moved at once from the realm of personal history into that of cosmic hierarchism.
Yeah, hierarchism.
Hierarchism.
Well, how exciting.
Wow.
Vast flood of light is let in upon gospel interpretation if it is understood that the 12 disciples of Jesus symbolized the 12 powers of spiritual light. Have you heard that before?
Yeah.
Ah. Now, Charles Fillmore did a whole teaching and has a book called The 12 Powers. It is not original to him. His teacher, what's her name?
Emma Curtis.
Emma Curtis Hopkins in Chicago. When he studied with her, she had a course on 12 powers. They may have been somewhat different interpretations slightly than his, but anyway, we've had that now for what, 100 years plus. And not a lot of these churches out there have such an understanding.
No.
It's not, they don't get into the truth of it. They're all in the surface and this pseudo history. And I like the phrase that's in this book that says, if there happens to be history in the Bible, it's accidental.
Purely by accident. Yeah.
Purely accidental. Because they weren't interested in history. They were interested in the spiritual truth. I don't know about you, but I love this stuff. really enjoy this.
Well, when they wrote some of those stories in the Old Testament, if a king fit into that story who wasn't there until 300 years later, didn't matter, they stuck him in the story anyhow.
Yep. Because they see the facts of the facts didn't matter. Facts change.
Yeah.
What's important is what's the truth underneath it. What does it
never
mean?
changes.
And that doesn't change. The spiritual principles don't change. And it seems that in conveying spiritual truth through allegory or through metaphysical interpretation, in other words, using symbols to represent certain things, it seems to keep it cleaner, clearer. Once you realize the symbolism and how that all works. I remember when I started in Bible interpretation, my first attempt, I've told some of you about that. First attempt, I was pretty new to Unity and knew about the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, so I bought one. And I was sitting on my bed. I opened my new Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and I started looking up these terms from a Bible story. And this equals this, this means this means this. And then I looked at it, and it made no sense to me.
Did what?
It made no sense to me. Absolutely no sense, because I didn't understand the symbols. It's later, after going through the training at Unity School at the time, we had some very good metaphysical interpretation teachers. And it all started to make sense. And the more I did it, the easier it became. It got so easy that when I taught CEP classes, and people would ask certain questions about a Bible story, this Bible story, and I could do it live on the run.
Yeah.
It was amazing because it was in there, and it was clear, and thank God. We lost a lot when they lost that.
What does this word mean?
Cavil?
Yes.
I don't know. Do you know cavil?
Not exactly.
I never heard that before.
I wondered if it was a misprint.
No, it's a
I
word.
think we had it in here before.
C-A-V-E-L.
I think it's CAVIL, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
C-A-V-I-L?
I think. I
Yeah,
can't seem to find it
CAVIL.
Right now. Because I wondered at the time, what does that really mean?
Tom Harpur,
Can't find it.
the author, he was a religion journalist as well as a Anglican priest, and this he's got too many large words.
Oh,
That-
cavil is a verb that means to raise trivial or irritating objections to something, or to find fault with it unnecessarily.
Ah,
Does that fit with how it is in the,
it said that from the first it should have been seen without cavil, without
objections?
objection. Yeah,
Yeah, finding
It
fault.
should
finding
have
fault.
been
Yeah.
that.
Accept it instead of tear it down. So that makes sense. Okay, the next paragraph. Egypt gave the 12 followers a more definitive name and function. The 12 were astronomical powers, rulers or saviors of the treasure of light. Because light was the crowning product of all cosmic operation, the saviors of it were the culminating depositories of dynamic agencies. They became the 12 great spirit children of Ra's unimaginable might. With Horus, they became the 12 who accompanied the god to earth as sowers of the seed and later reapers of the divine harvest. In John, Jesus uses the same sowing and reaping metaphors to describe the mission of his 12 disciples. He says, quote, "I tell you, look around you and see how the fields are ripe for harvesting." Without exposing you to a further mass of detail, let me say simply that the evidence seems incontestable that the 12 disciples represent 12 deific powers and not men. That's kind of what Charles was expressing, you know. They represented powers that we, of God, and powers that are invested in us.
And that we place under the Christ influence,
Yes.
because the powers can be used otherwise. you know.
Otherwise, yeah.
The power of power, for instance. And I'm always amazed at how many people are afraid of the power of power.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. I said, you know, if you don't put gasoline in your car, does it go anywhere? No, you
No.
have to have power.
Exactly.
And this is spiritual power, not temporal power that they're talking about.
Yeah. It would be like having your house wired for electricity but not turning the lights on.
Yeah, no light switches.
Yeah. I'm afraid. It's too powerful. It's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where do we stop?
In the ancient,
In the ancient
In the ancient
gnosis.
In the ancient gnosis, as the soul advances through the scale of evolution, he or she passes through 12 grades of being, adding to his or her estate the quality gained at each level, until his or her absorption of the essence of all nature is complete. These 12 qualities of perfected spiritual understanding are what are represented by the 12 astrological signs of the zodiac. In the ancient wisdom, the sun's journey through each sign acquired the special powers of each, symbolized the soul's round of the elements and the acquisition of the 12 intelligences.
I like that word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all had as its base the passage through the heavens of the solar God, who symbolized the unseen divinity behind and through all things. We are made up of body, mind, and spirit. For each of these, there are 4 elements: fire, air, earth, and water, combined in the one grand synthesis that constitutes a human being. These 12 aspects create the potential for Christ consciousness. In the old religion of Egypt, Chaldea, and Greece, the 12 rays of genius in humans were variously represented by the 12 saviors of the treasure of light, the 12 reapers of the golden grain, the 12 harvesters in the fields of Amenta, or earth, the 12 builders, the 12 carpenters, the 12 potters, the 12 weavers and of the pattern, the 12 fishermen, the 12 rowers of the boat of Ra with Horus at the prow, the 12 sailors in the ship of Ra, the sun, the 12 laborers of Hercules, the 12 sons of Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 apostles, and the 12 knights of King Arthur's table. All have the same zodiacal, evolutionary, and theological derivation. And then there are the 12 months of the year. It was no accident that there were 12 gods with Odin in Norse mythology. The whole of the Bible, as anyone familiar with it knows, is permeated by the number 12 and multiples thereof. 12 times 12 times 1,000 gives the figure of 144,000, the symbol for all the elect of God in the book of Revelation.
You know, I thought I made this up and I published it in my book. about the 12 weavers of the pattern.
Uh-huh.
I thought I made that up. And it's published in my first book where I explain what the 12 powers are and how we weave these threads through our tapestry of life. And some of those threads are fragile, like love, so you don't yank on it. And some of them are powerful, like power, which is substance of keeps the whole tapestry strong. And I just went through all the 12 powers that way. My students are absolutely loving it.
Wonderful.
And I thought I made it up. And here it is, right here.
Well, here is the expression of the 12 weavers.
Yeah,
But you're adding all of this symbolism of
yeah,
them,
yeah,
meaning
yeah.
to them.
And
Which is
I
a-
created the pattern of life.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And my last name used to be Weaver.
Did it?
First marriage, changed that one.
Okay. Done that.
Done that.
Over that.
Kids are still Weavers,
Yeah.
but not me.
Um,
Anyway,
Let's see, did we go through that? No.
Fish, caribou, beetle.
Let me do the fish, and then we'll know where we'll start up next time. Fish, scarab, beetle. The Egyptian Christ, manifested in the sign of Pisces, was foreordained to be ichthys, the Greek word for fish, the fisherman, and to be accompanied by fishermen followers. Doctrinally, he was the fisher of men. Horus, the best known Egyptian Christ figure, was associated from time immemorial with the fish. And Massey's Natural Genesis features a reproduction of an Egyptian engraving showing Horus holding a fish above his head. Several of the early Christian fathers referred to Christ also as ichthys, or that great fish. And the mitre worn by succeeding popes in the shoes of the fisherman is shaped exactly like a fish's mouth. I need to think on that.
I
It-
wonder if they were slip-ins.
Yeah, yeah. It's well known that the Greek word ichthys forms an acrostic, meaning Jesus Christ, the Son of God, our Savior. Having been in Rome numerous times during my dozen years covering religion around the world for the Toronto Star, I have seen firsthand how frequently the outline of a fish occurs in catacombs as a Christian symbol. It also doubled as a sign of the Eucharist. Prosper Africanus, an early Christian theologian, calls Christ that great fish who fed from himself the disciples on the shore and offered himself as a fish to the whole world. Yeah, now that's an allusion to one of the events in the Bible.
Feeding the 5,000.
Well, I'm thinking on the shore where the disciples come in on their boat, and Jesus is there with the fire going, and he's got food for them, and it's fish. And fish traps of varying kinds all have the same spiritual meaning. Much more important, however, is the fact that the Egyptian texts bear witness to an only begotten God, meaning begotten of one parent only. And you think about that as the only begotten, it's true of you. You think of your two human parents, but your real parent is God. Because your parents didn't create you,
No.
didn't create life. All life is God life. So that's your one parent. So each one of us is the only begotten.
I'm just looking to see if there is another explanation for begotten in the dictionary. I'm guessing not, but I thought I'd look anyhow.
I should have my Webster's unabridged here. I have it at home, and it's amazing the metaphysics that you find
Yeah,
buried in that. Charles used to refer to that a lot, saying you could find all kinds of things in the
in the dictionary.
early dictionary, and mine is 1930s,
Yeah, yeah.
which makes it even more metaphysical, I think. Yeah, they're wonderful.
It means to give rise, to bring out. To bring out is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else is in here.
Meaning begotten of one parent only, whose symbol was the beetle, because in ancient science the creature was thought to be self-produced, being unconceived by a female. Massey says the only begotten God is a well-known type or symbol, then of divinity worshipped in Egypt. In each cult, the Messiah, Son, and Manifester was the only begotten God. This, according to the Egyptian text, is the Christ, the Word, the Manifester in John's Gospel. In fact, in one early version of the Greek text of the New Testament's Gospel of John, the phrase, the only begotten Son of God, actually reads, the only begotten God. Wow. Yes, sir. Tom taught Greek and what else? Anyway, he would have known what it says in Greek. And the very unorthodoxy makes it likely that it is the preferred original reading at school. I'll go down and take the next paragraph and we'll close down there. The truth thus came forcefully home to me that the Egyptian Christ is indeed the express image of the Christ of John's Gospel, who begins in the first chapter without father or mother, and is the Word of the beginning, the opener and architect, the light of the world, the self-originated and only begotten God. I found that the very phraseology of John often echoed the Egyptian texts, which tell of he who was the beginning of becoming, from the first who made all things but was not made. Some of the fathers of the church knew that the beetle was a symbol of Christ. Augustine indeed writes, "My own good beetle," not so much because he is only begotten God, not because he, the author of himself, has taken on the form of mortals, but because he has rolled himself in our filth and chooses to be born from this filth itself, like the dung beetle.
He does.
Yeah. And,
Jeez.
we'll end with the dung beetle. Okay, I'm going to turn that page down. So I know it's the bottom.
Well, the beetle is the Egyptian scarab, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when I was in Egypt, you could buy handfuls of little
Scarabee.
plaster scarabs. Yeah, it's everywhere.
How wonderful. We just have that little bit on the bottom of the page and
On
one more.
page 89.
Yeah,
89.
bottom of 89 and then 90 ends this part. Next week you'll get part 6. Convincing the skeptics.
Good luck. We've got many more skeptics today than we probably had back in the King of Britain.
I think it's a section called The God of Wine. Walking on the Water. He does some of the Bible stories. So there's some good stuff there, yeah. And the next section I think should be about the end, because then it goes into his appendix. Not that he has appendicitis or anything. Anyway,
Good stuff, thank you, Greg.
I like this. I like this stuff, and I like that section with the comparison, Horace
Yeah,
and Jesus.
yeah.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing. There's so much information in here. But thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
interesting to watch the civilization as it progresses through. You have the same stories, just different, same name, different,
Yeah.
same face, different name. Yeah.
Yeah, they changed the name because
Yeah.
it's a name that fits their culture and
Yes.
their time. But the story's the same.
I know. Well, it's
Because
the
it's-
story is truth.
Exactly.
It's truth.
Yeah.
Capital T.
But right
Call it
on.
whatever you want, but
So which did you break? This one?
yeah. See.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
they had to do surgery.
Oh yeah, broke both bones. I don't mess around.
Oh.
Break them both.
Oh.
But no, see, he just took the brace off on Thursday, and look already
Yeah,
what
good-
I'm
good
doing.
mobility.
Because
Yeah.
I'm determined. I'm determined. So I can make it
Well, I
last.
know you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is still
We always
perfect.
have known that.
Yeah.
Still perfect.
It's good to see you up and about.
Huh?
It's good to see you up and
Oh
about.
yeah, gosh.
It make you crazy?
Yes, the whole summer, gone.
Yeah. Goes pretty
I'm sitting
quickly.
there with my arm up.
Were you
Yeah.
in a sling or something?
Oh,
Or
sure.
three
Started
of
out
those?
that way,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then progressed for these last, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks or a month into what they call a brace. You wore a
Yeah.
brace. I wore a
Like
brace.
that?
Yeah. No, totally free. But it's
Like a
stationary.
carpal
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
brace, yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
And it's-
I did like 6 weeks in
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
one of those things.
Oh my.
Had to sleep in it and everything.
Oh, I know.
Huh.
Yeah.
When I've got a standard shift car, and when I had the right wrist
Yeah.
done, I couldn't shift.
How
So
would I do?
I drove her silent unity in first gear the first day because I couldn't shift in the second.
Yeah.
By the second day, I was getting second gear.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was kind of okay, but that first day, I was like this with my foot on the clutch, trying to reach over here and get it to go the right direction. It wanted to go in reverse instead of first. And
Oh God. The things we do.
we were
But-
talking about after this shoulder, I would do this shoulder because this shoulder was bad too.
Oh.
But when I fixed this one, I had no pain.
Yeah.
yeah,
No pain. I only took a total from being in the hospital to getting home 4 pills.
That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
yeah.
And then this one stopped hurting. Initially, the surgeon said,
Okay.
well, your right shoulder's bad. Your left shoulder is horrible. So we fixed the horrible. But when we fixed the horrible, this healed.
Yeah. It stopped
I have
getting
no pain
pulled
now.
out of the-
And I used to have pain every day in both shoulders.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, things work together. If I am doing exercises and having a time, and I do it with this arm, this one will do it better.
It'll
Just
figure out how
because
to
it
do it,
has
yeah.
got the other
Yeah.
arm with
You
it.
just train both sides of the brain there.
I guess. Yeah. Anyway, hey, it's over. It's done, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to do it again.
No.
Thanks for
Yeah.
picking her up.
See, have a good week. Have a really good week.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you
Is
too.
that interesting?
Interesting.
Interesting.
You're just as wonderful as ever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Very interesting,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was fun?
Yes.
Hey.
I enjoyed it, interesting.
Well, in this particular class with that listing, he could get it all right there on that page
Yeah.
that we've been talking about. Other than calling the Christian fathers a bunch of liars and,
Would you like a little bit more of the material?
Well, come back to tomorrow. I need to come here where it's explained better.
Oh, okay. Well, not tomorrow.
I mean, next Sunday.
Next Sunday, yeah.
That's right.
But I can give you some of the earlier stuff if you like.
How many thousands of years was this before Jesus?
A lot.
A lot.
20,000 BC,
20,000
BC.
before Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an internet, man. It's a lot of stuff.
Here's
Well,
a
I like you talking about I've seen all the stars. My first encounter with that was I took a raft trip in Utah down the San Juan River
uh-huh.
in lower Utah down by below Moab
Uh-huh.
and down by where Zane Gary wrote his books. I took a raft trip and we camped out on the river and there's no cities around down there in that area. And you just look up at night and man, the stars, it's just.
Good to see you. I thought maybe you moved up north.
No, we moved Janae up to Wisconsin and we moved her back.
Okay.
Story for another day.
Why'd you move her to Wisconsin?
For school. For school. She was done very wrong. They were both done very wrong by the leasing agent. And anyway, yeah. Homeless, not a place to live, and so they came back to Kansas City.
And that means no school.
Well, they'll get things going back again here. It's too bad because it was a good university, good price. But they're working with an attorney, working with student affairs, with things. But until then, you know, they were living out of a hotel, paying on a rental truck.
Oh.
That was holding all their stuff when they knew they had at least 3 weeks in their apartment back here in Kansas City before the lease was up. So
They could come back.
Yeah.
they could come back and
Yeah.
they could have a place to live. So now we've got them moved into their permanent apartment. And anyway, so I was able to watch the services and I heard your announcement on classes and I'm like, number one, I wanted the pamphlet on your training today on their services because I really liked
The bulletin?
the bulletin.
The bullet.
And then I wanted to get that and I wanted to just come and say, hey.
Okay.
And so
Did
Chris,
you want the handout for today for this class or not?
well, I could if you have it, but Chris told me that you guys have been doing this for a little bit. So he said that the classes are on YouTube so I can get up to speed.
Oh, okay.
So if you have it, fine. If you don't, I can always get it when you have it.
Well, I
If
can
you take the one for this week, she'll get the whole listing
Yeah.
on the one for this week, so that'd be a good one for you to have in paper to read through.
Okay.
Because it's all about Jesus, who was the Christ, Horus in Egypt, who was the Christ, and it's all listed, and everything they wrote in the Gospels is word for word what was in Egypt. See, the Old Testament was copied over from Egypt, the New Testament was copied from both. So it's just interesting to see
I'll give you this one too.
where all of our
Okay.
teachings
It's
came from.
Christianity. Before Christianity,
I love that.
it was all written
Yeah.
before in Egypt. This is the one
Yeah.
we were working on today.
Okay.
Last week and today.
Not just written before, but word for word.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
I love it. I love it.
Did you see
And
20,000 years
BC.
BC? Yeah.
Well, then Egypt probably got it from an earlier culture,
Yeah.
that was probably 40,000 BC.
Yeah.
This has
If
gone
you-
on forever.
It's just amazing. I don't have much time because I got to go meet my daughter because now they are
Okay.
getting married
Oh, okay.
next month. She wants to get married on September 3rd. It's a Tuesday at noon in the park, at Luce Park. But the reason being is because her birthday is in September. Henry's birthday is in September, so they want to get married in September. But unfortunately, they're feeling pressured to do this quickly because of his parents and their religious beliefs, because they're living in sin, according to them.
And having a wonderful time.
Yeah.
And she's
Seems fun.
But you know, and but the thing is she's like, Mom, she just wants it simple. It's just gonna be a few friends and at the park at noon and no food. I'm taking bottled water. You know, it's about the union, and then we'll do a
party later.
a party later, because she doesn't want to invite my side of the family. There's just too many. And it's just, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
It's not what it's about. It's like just get,
Yeah.
well, they're too union, and I'll say this, these are my words, and get Henry's parents off their back.
Yeah. When I did a wedding for my younger son, her mother came up to me and says, I think you just want to make sure they got married. I said, no, I just made sure I could get Wendy. Oh. Like, get off that stupid stuff.
I wanted to throw this quote at you.
Okay.
This is in the beginning of the book. This is the first part of the book. It's a quotation of St. Augustine. You've heard of St. Augustine.
Mm-hmm.
The very thing which is now called the Christian religion existed among the ancients also, nor was it wanting from the inception of the human race until the coming of Christ in the flesh, at which point the true religion, which was already in existence, began to be called Christian. It's always existed.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Semi-final number 1 of the men's 1500 metres. Team USA's Cole Hocker right in the centre of your screen. First 6.
Okay, this is the back of the refrigerator. At the very bottom, you can't take this stuff off. Really, it's a big hassle. I don't know why you'd want to do it anyway. But this is the electronics down here, the compressor and all, the plumbing. The wiring in this white box right here is where the trip switch is. I'll take the camera off the tripod and show you closer. But this is where the little, right here, where you put the screwdriver in right there and just turn it. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it or not, but it'll start right up. You turn it just a little bitty bit. It's like an on-off switch. This is after you have, it's just something for you to check if your refrigerator has stopped running. And it could be, you know, there's other videos on YouTube where you'd open up this box and get this whole little unit out, and it needs to be replaced sometimes. But in my case, you just need to turn the little, I call it a trip switch. I don't know what the real name of it is. Here, I'll try to get a better view of it.
Great position there in 4th place on the rail, but clear ahead of the rest of the pack. They're protecting their positions. Remember, the top 6 go through no time qualifiers here.
2 years ago, the world champion in under 20 is the guy in green and red.
That's right there.
Ethiopia. Don't discount him.
Right
Look at the
there.
pace.
I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this. I'll put the screwdriver in there.
Staying in touch.
And notice the big
plugged
3,
in now.
Ingebrigtsen, Kerr, Hawker, all staying on the rail, all running the least amount of race possible that they can. They will move out if they have to. They don't want to find themselves boxed in later, but the beginning stages of this race, they're all trying to run clean and run on that rail.
And there you go. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but there's the fan spinning around. And you can feel the coolness. All I did was turn that little, they should at least mark it on the back. That's my whole point about the thing. You know, put something on there that lets people know, hey, turn this and maybe your refrigerator will come on. So that's it. Good luck to anybody out there that, you know, where you're in dire straits and your food is getting warm and you don't know what to do and you don't want to call a service repairman and you want to maybe try something to do something first yourself. You can try that. And like I say, I don't know that all refrigerators have a little trip switch like that on the back. It's just that this one does, maybe yours does. I don't know. You won't know unless you look. So good luck.
This is good good
Thanks.
experience for